Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sitdown. Do I need to tell you what we're getting ready to talk about? We've been waiting for this one for a long time, and I gotta say, it 100% delivered in a big bad way, man. If you had any doubts or fears with this series, I don't think you do anymore. What am I talking about? You don't know? Why don't you pull up a chair, take a seat? We're getting ready to dive in, spoiler free, into episodes 1 and 2 of Obi Wan Kenobi. And yes, Obi Wan has arrived, and it's pretty damn glorious, man. He's a solid, I guess you would consider it, day one surprise at Star Wars Celebration. They moved it up to midnight instead of 3 this morning. I didn't watch it until 3 because on the spoiler side of things, you're going to get spoiler reactions from me and my friend Brittany. Hopefully her brother will be able to join us too. He was not able to get up. He was like out cold. But we zoomed, watched it together, reacted, talked about the episodes. Had a lot of fun with that. And one of the main reasons that this is kind of getting up late is because that ate up a lot of the time. And then I did the all-nighter move while I was waiting, and I needed a nap. But you'll get the non-spoiler. You'll get this video probably a little bit later than normal, just because I'll be shooting spoilery stuff with Brittany right when it drops, and then after we kind of do all of our stuff, then I come back and shoot. So as you can see, it's not dark and early. It is bright and early. It's not a sunny day, although it is bright out, but it's very cloudy. It looks like it's going to rain or drizzle or something, but I digress. We got Obi-Wan, man, and like I said, it was a nice little surprise for Star Wars Celebration people. From the little bits I've seen on the old social media, people were losing their minds, getting to see this at Celebration, which was really cool. All the cast and Deborah Chow were on live yesterday. You can watch Celebration live on YouTube. It was cool to kind of see all them, and it really got the excitement pumping. And like I said, I'll be watching with my friend Brittany, who's one of the biggest Star Wars fans I know personally. So like we were going back and forth talking about how excited we were. She just got back from Disney World and Star Wars Land. I was like, I am so jealous of you. But yeah, man, I mean, it is a 2-episode open that absolutely delivers. And I gotta say, one of the things that we were definitely very, very in alignment with is that Deborah Chow. Yo, man, I tell you, I like Chow, and when she did Mandalorian, and I heard that she was getting this, I was like, yeah, okay, all right, I'd like to see what she can do. And she talked about yesterday at Celebration how just the technology from that Mando season to Obi-Wan had jumped so much. It's a big upgrade for her as a director. I mean, this thing feels like you're watching a movie, and ultimately the first episode is around like 48-ish minutes, and the second episode is like just under 40, so like you end up with about 90 minutes, and you almost get like a movie, and this thing feels like a movie. I feel like it moves like a movie. I thought it was paced quite well. Definitely pulls you in right away. An unbelievable action opening sequence. After we get a little bit of a mild spoiler recap, one of the things that I'm really digging about the show is that it's so much about the brotherhood between Obi-Wan and Anakin, and the little recap you get at the beginning of the series is their trilogy together from the prequels, and what that relationship is and how it played and where Qui-Gon fit into that stuff. And one of the things that I'm already really digging is, like, you can feel that this is going to be everything in Star Wars, always about balance, right? But I had said to my friend Brittany, and I'm not going to spoil if this happened or not, but I was like, I think we're getting lucky with 2 episodes, because it feels like you'll probably start hard in on Obi-Wan, but this is going to be a pretty shared show. I mean, Hayden and Ewan have been together everywhere they've gone in the lead up to this, so I feel like we're going to get a decent amount of Anakin's story. But I was like, I think you start hard in with Obi-Wan, and then you tease Anakin right at the end of episode 2, and that weak push that led us to 2 episodes to start things off of this 6 episode series. I was like, I feel like that's how they're gonna play it, and I won't say how they play it, but the pacing and the build to where they get to by the end of episode 2, I thought was excellent, and almost feels like the first installment in a trilogy to a degree. I mean, not fully, it'd be really quick, but like, it looks and it feels, and the vibe of what you're getting is very movie quality like. And I dig visually like what she's doing. The show looks stunning, and like I said, the way that she's keeping the pace up, the way that she's also giving the episodes time to breathe. Not as much in the second because it's shorter, but like we take our time. We make sure we lay out the foundation of the story, but at the same time, Chow's also making sure that we pick off things that we need to do to advance the story, so that hopefully something that Marvel likes to do is pile a bunch of things up that you're learning and need payoffs for in a show and dump it all in the finale. Here, we're already getting a couple payoffs in these first couple episodes, and I just really dig what Chow is doing behind the camera. And then I believe Joby Harold is the head in the writers' room. He's the only one credited for all 6 episodes, along with Hussein Amini, Stuart Beadle, Hannah Friedman, and Andrew Stanton, the writers' room here. And I gotta say, man, I dig what they're doing. I understand some of the things that we see might raise some questions from a canon standpoint, but we've seen things also not be what we think things are in these series. So I always say, trust in Dave Filoni. It's gonna work itself out. But I really dig what the writing staff does here in these first 2 episodes. Like I said, being able to set up Obi-Wan. It's 10 years since Revenge of the Sith. He's just been out in the Tatooine desert for a decade, and you're really getting a good idea of what's going on with him and early on, and how you're able to pull him in. The big question everyone has is what gets him to leave Tatooine. And I think the story decision-making choices that they made are unbelievably intriguing and make you go, oh yeah, all right, that makes sense. Yeah, let's go. Let's play ball. And what you're getting with what that main storyline is, there's some really excellent stuff, specifically Mr. Ewan McGregor, who we'll talk about in a couple minutes. But yeah, I really dig what they're doing and how they're moving the show. I really like the pacing and the build of this, time when Jedi are basically extinct, and you have the Inquisitors on the move and hunting Jedi down, and for the most part, basically have wiped them all out. And it's one of those where, if you're not deep cut Star Wars, and I'm quarter deep cut, I feel I watch all the media. I've seen all the cartoons and all the movies. I haven't read the books. I've read some of the comics. That's why I have my friend Brittany on our spoiler stuff, because she's read everything, or most things, way more than me. And I just, I'm just really digging the things that they're doing and what they're giving their actors, to do from a storyline perspective. And mild spoiler, I guess, but this show, like I said, is very much going to deal with the brotherhood between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and you can feel the potential fallout from what's happened to Obi-Wan very present. And one of the things that I've really been digging in Marvel is kind of some of their head-on conversations about mental health. And I don't know if this show is going to go there, but Obi-Wan's going through some stuff, and we're certainly getting that through the performance and what's been set up. And I'll be interested to see how they dive into it, because between the 2 episodes, there's a lot going on for Obi-Wan, you know what I mean? And how he handles it and stuff. I'm digging what they're doing and how they're setting things up. And then before we get into our actors, the other big shout out, John Williams scoring the theme for Obi-Wan, which is fantastic. I really dig Obi-Wan's theme. But shout out Natalie Holt back from Loki. I remember when Loki came out, I was just I was obsessed with the scoring in that, and I was like, Natalie Holt, keep your ears out for her. She is our main composer here, and what she's doing with the overall Obi-Wan score is fantastic. Everything in Star Wars, right? There's so much about balance, and when you're watching the episode visually, storytelling-wise, you're constantly seeing that balance between the dark and the light, and the score lines up with that. And one of the things that I think is really important is, if you're not all the way in on at least all the media of Star Wars, you might not know a lot about the Inquisitors, but watching Rebels, I understand who the Inquisitors are. They're pretty freaking scary. I mean, they wiped out all of the Jedi, right? Those are some scary Force-sensitive beings, and the show does a phenomenal job of letting you know just how scary they are, just how brutal they are. And there is fear when they're on screen. And a lot of that is driven by Natalie Holt's score, man. The shift and that balance and what's going on with the light side of the story and Obi-Wan stuff. And then as soon as an Inquisitor or someone attached to an Inquisitor, we get a little flea action in this, which is, a little jarring, I guess you could say. But I mean, it's Flea. But every time he shows up, like you kind of get like an adjacent version of the score for the Inquisitors, where you're just like you feel dread immediately, and like even in the Outer Rim, you understand just off the score and then what they give us visually with the Inquisitors, how scary, how brutal, and like how careful you have to be with this group. And I love that Chow's able to get that across right out the gate. So if you haven't watched Rebels or played some of the video games and have a decent baseline for who the Inquisitors are, this definitely gives you a feeling of what's going on. And yeah, I'm stoked, man, because I see what they're building, and I'm pumped to see where they take it. And I'm mostly pumped to see where they take it for the actors. Certainly Ewan McGregor. I said this during my spoiler stuff. Me and my friend Brittany talk about this all the time. That prequel trilogy is our trilogy, man. Those are the movies that were made for me when I was a kid. Those movies are made for kids. They're not made for the adult Star Wars fan. And that's one of those things where you hear Ewan and Hayden talk about how like the love and the embrace of the Star Wars fandom really didn't come until later on, when all those kids were growing up, because we didn't have social media and stuff back then. And now they're living in a time where like people really enjoy a lot about the prequels, and seeing it build from this, like it's cool. It feels like if you watched all of the prequels, all of Clone Wars, this just feels like a natural progression in that story. And again, shout out to Chow and the writing staff, specifically the second episode. Like there are moments where I was like, I feel like I'm watching a Clone Wars episode. Like it has the vibe. It feels so connected and so in place. And Ewan McGregor has so much to do with that. I mean, it doesn't feel like he has been away for 20 years. It feels like he maybe has been hiding out on Tatooine for a couple decades, but like just stepped right back into it. And like I said, with what he's dealing with mentally in the show, it's really fascinating to see how he's handling things. I mean, at one point I went to Brit, I was like, there's just like a moment where he grits his teeth, and like just him gritting his teeth real quick, you're like, he's doing so much and conveying so much through his performance, and you're really understanding where Obi-Wan is at this point and the things that he's dealing with and going through. And I just, like, you can never say enough amazing things about Ewan McGregor and where the story is taking him and the characters and actors that he gets to play off of. He's got phenomenal chemistry with, there's an actor, to keep your name, or keep your eyes peeled for and look out for Vivian Lyra Blair. Wow. What she does is mind-blowing. And her chemistry with Obi-Wan, or Ewan McGregor, is phenomenal. And what goes on with that piece of the story, like, that's easily my favorite stretches of these things. And then watching him knock the rust off, like the way that there are moments where it feels like he's acting just like young Obi-Wan did. But that age and wisdom of Obi-Wan kind of kicks in and makes him kind of alter things that he does. Like, looking at little things like that is really cool. And just how he feels about where he is in the world and what's going on and what values are important to Obi-Wan, we understand, and that drives the decisions that he makes. And I'm so pumped for him. I'm also obviously very pumped for Hayden Christensen, and I'm not going to spoil anything. Whether or not he shows up, we know he's coming at some point as Darth Vader, and just even seeing in the little like montage about the prequels, like I'm excited for both of these guys to hopefully have a show that really dives into the Brotherhood. And the first 2 episodes in, like, you're really getting that, and you're seeing that in the performances. And outside of Obi-Wan and newcomer Vivian Lyra Blair, the big ones that pop here, obviously, are our Inquisitors. Rupert Friend. I didn't even know that was Rupert Friend, man. He stepped out onto the stage of Celebration yesterday, started talking about the Grand Inquisitor, and I was like, oh, damn. And, knowing a little bit about the Grand Inquisitor, I'm digging his live-action performance. And he's got a lot of little nuanced things that he's doing. And he's not coming with, like, the full-blown terror, but this very subtle, almost like a guy who's been doing this for a decade and is basically done. Like, we've done our job. Now I'm just kind of reaping the benefits. And he doesn't kind of have that drive that we're seeing from one of our other Inquisitors, Reva, who's being played by Moses Ingram, who... wow, man, like, she is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, can't like, I don't have enough nice things to say about what she is doing as the third sister. I'm fascinated by her story. I think outside of what's going on with Obi-Wan and how that's going to lead to him and Anakin meeting again, and just all the things, like I said, that Obi-Wan is dealing with, whether it's stuff with Qui-Gon or Anakin. I'm fascinated for all that. But, like, what Moses Ingram has given us with Reva, like, I need more. Like, her story, there are things about it where I'm like, yo, I mean, everything she's doing is phenomenal, but, like, there are things where I'm like, I'm very interested to see what's going on here, because there's definitely more than meets the eye, and there are hints to, like, where she comes from and where that story might go, but I need the details, because whatever that thing is that we don't know right now, that is what is driving her as a character. And from a performance standpoint, I mean, she is the driving force for the brutalness and the ruthlessness of the Inquisitors. And she's she's like MVP status right now. I'm loving what she's doing performance-wise. Sung Kang plays the fifth brother. He's the third Inquisitor that we see in the trailers and in the show over the first 2 episodes. Not a lot from him yet, but again, just like in the right mode. Like, feels the right way, and like what they're doing with these 3, like I can't wait to see when things get big, because the episode has a decent little bit of action like we were talking about before, but it's a lot of storytelling, but it's interesting storytelling. It's things that grip you and pull you in and allow these actors to really drive this thing where, like, you're just on the edge of your seat the whole time. And when you mix in the score and what's going on, just in the story and what Chow's doing with the camera, like, this thing feels like it's almost nonstop action, even though it's not. And all of these things just coming together here have been great. And then, just a couple other quick call-outs. Kamal Nanjiani shows up, and what's cool is we've seen him in the trailers, and actually most of what we've seen in the trailers, these first 2 episodes, which is great. There's going to be tons of surprises coming, which I'm so excited for. But even Nanjiani, there's tons of surprises in these first 2 episodes. Like, the way they kept some of these things under wraps is nuts, but what he ends up being was not what I was expecting, but he's great. I thought he was a good fit, and I wasn't too sure if Nanjiani would fit really, really well or not, but how they utilized him I thought worked really well. Obviously, you have Joel Edgerton here as Owen Lars, and I was saying to my friend Brittany, like, it's so fortunate that Joel Edgerton turned out to be Joel Edgerton. He's a really good actor, very familiar behind the camera. He can bring a lot to set, even if he's not physically being seen anywhere. And, I mean, we only get a little bit of Owen, but what we get from Edgerton is great stuff. Obviously, Bonnie Peace also back as Beru Lars. We don't really see a ton of her, but, like, I love seeing characters that we know from the prequels coming into this series already. Like, a bunch of familiar faces pop up, which is a lot of fun. And, yeah, we don't get a ton with Luke, but I love seeing, that relationship exists, even though it exists from afar, and you're really feeling that specifically through what, Ewan McGregor is doing. And yeah, I'm fascinated to see where they go. I'm really digging this Inquisitor storyline, and I'm really digging what's going on with Obi-Wan's storyline. Like, what his driving force is right now is really cool. And it's one of those things that I think we were all like, I wonder what is going to make Obi-Wan leave. And when we learn what that is and how that plays into the story, like, that's the stuff that I'm like, okay, I'm here. And when you get to start introducing Anakin and some of the other things, I think, from the prequels, this show is going to be spectacular. So that's it, man. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil anything, but this one really popped for me. It's not a perfect 2 episodes. I maybe would have liked a little bit more in the second, but I think the pacing works. I think it meshes very well together, and having a single vision, right? Deborah Chow directed all 6 episodes. You have Joby Harold, leading the writer's room for all 6 episodes. You feel that connectivity, and it feels like they definitely were in lockstep with each other. And right out the gate, you're just like, this is some of the best Star Wars stuff we've gotten so far, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So let's get the C-Maniacs up. Like I said, I love this episode, or these 2 episodes, and where they're going. The performances are great. Action is really solid. The story is interesting and intriguing. The visuals are fantastic. I'm pumped for Deborah Chow. I'm pumped for Natalie Holt, who's doing the main score line here. John Williams with the theme. Like, everything that you want this show to do. I think it's doing out the gate. It's off to a really strong start. I'm going to start low because I feel like this show is just going to get progressively better. I'm going to go 4 out of 5 Maniacs for the first 2 episodes. Like I said, I got some questions on some things. I think all will be fine because Dave Filoni is Dave Filoni. And Dave Filoni, I trust all things at this point in life when it comes to Star Wars. And I'm sure any of the questions I got, they'll be resolved. They'll be answered. We'll be in a great place. But I'm going to reserve, totally jumping through the roof and go 4 out of 5 for these first 2. I'm interested to see where they go with like some of the PTSD stuff with, Obi-Wan. And if they commit into going that or how that plays in, I think it's definitely going to. Where they're going, like I said, with those storylines, it's just fascinating. It's off to a good start. But there are better things coming. You can feel it deep in your bones. But that's it. I'm going to stop talking, man, because I've been talking for a long time, and I don't want to say anything that I don't have to. Now it's your turn. If you've watched the episodes, what are you thinking? Don't spoil anything, but tell me things that are popping. What elements are really intriguing or calling out to you? Do you have any issues with what's going on? If you haven't watched the episodes yet, have we enticed you? Are you excited? Where does this fall for you? Anything that you got. Keep it spoiler-free, but if it's about Obi Wan Kenobi, put it down below in the comments section. I look forward to talking to you guys down there. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to be here for all my Obi-Wan coverage. Like I said, we're going to have a bunch of stuff. My friend Britt is along. Hopefully her brother will be as well. Maybe some other guests. But along for the 3 a.m. ride for Obi-Wan Kenobi and all my spoiler stuff. So they'll be in the reactions. These first 2 episodes, they'll just be her and me. But you'll see our reactions to the episodes, our conversations during the show when there are moments where we can kind of like slip things in. And then what we think from a spoiler perspective on the back end. So you want to be here for all that. Any other coverage we got going on with Obi-Wan, you just dig this. I don't know. Maybe this is just like, look at this silly guy. You want to show a little love and support? You haven't. Wait. Come join C-Maniac Nation. Super easy. All you got to do, jump over there, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell if you want those alerts. Till next time, for the C-Mans Cinema, sit down. Obi-Wan, 2 eps in, and ooh, I'm not disappointed. I've been the C-Man. I'm signing off. Peace. Oh, hey, what's going on? You must be sticking around because you're looking for more content featuring this guy. Well, guess what? You're in the right place. You can check out more videos right here and right here. And if you have and you want to come join that C-Maniac Nation, you can hit that subscribe right over there.